welcome to Minding My Business Tuesday Talks with myself and
Daniela.
We have a really
Full
amazing
today,
guest.
guys. Full
Yes,
energy.
yes. We have a very special guest. She's already in here. We're going to pull her up in just 1 second. But she is a powerhouse. I've been following her on Instagram for like months and just watching her consistency, her dedication. I've seen her growth in such a short period of time of just me watching her, and she was already amazing. And I can't wait to just pick her brain. I don't like saying that word. What's another word we could say? Learn some amazing insight that she has, her mental strength and her discipline, and however she wants to serve you guys on this platform. So with that being said, let's bring her on now. I believe we added you. Hello.
How are you guys? You girls are so beautiful.
You're so beautiful, but from the inside, the out is the bonus, right?
Thank you so much for having me. I'm super excited. I honestly just rushed over here, just finished a client, and now I'm super ready for the call.
Yeah, thank you so much. So this is an episode series we created, Minding My Business. It was inspired from Daniela and myself. We wanted to really create a platform to celebrate women and to create a safe space for other women who are aspiring to become their best self or operate at higher levels of consciousness, just to really hear other powerhouse women, how you overcome adversity, how you built yourself into this powerhouse that you are today, and just to elevate other women, to elevate their mind, their business, and their bank account.
Love that concept. Definitely,
yeah.
That's what my purpose is as well.
That's why you're here. That's why you're a perfect fit. Thank you so much for being here. So with that being said, I've heard a little bit, I've been watching you, Daniela's been watching you. You haven't always been operating at these high levels. And I know you're very open about it on your platform. What was your process of building this woman that you've become right now?
The process, it's been a journey, definitely. So I first started you're referring to business?
No, just yourself. Your business is an extension of you, but how you've have you always been operating like that? Let me ask you it like this. Have you always been operating at high levels, how you're operating right now?
I guess ever since I was little, my mom would always call me, in Spanish, it's this word called, she would always say that I was intensa. So that means everything that I did, I didn't stop bothering her until I got it. And I said this, I did another interview the other day, and I said this, I will literally walk to, at the time it was a CVS, but it was Navarro, right? And I'd go and buy hair dye, and the way that I would get the money is I'd go in my mom's purses, I'd collect all the change, all the coins, I'd turn it in, buy my hair. I was always inventing. I was always into beauty, and when I wanted something, I wanted it done right then and there. So I guess I've always kind of been nothing has really gotten in the way of stopping me. But I think that as I get to know myself, and as I get to slow down a little bit, and I'm more aware of my trauma and my childhood, I think definitely everything just is coming effortlessly in a way.
So even as a child, you were a go-getter. You were finding out the different ways of how to get what it is that you wanted. Because, growing up, I read a little bit into your background, and correct me if I'm wrong, you didn't have it easy growing up. So, I feel like when you're put in that position, you have to find certain ways to think outside the box to get what you want.
Yeah, definitely.
So, is that a big, you feel like a big advantage that you've used now as an adult with growing your brand and your business?
Oh yeah, definitely. I don't stop until it's done and I get it done and it's perfect. And if it's not and it doesn't work out, then I find like other ways to get things done. Definitely.
And for the people who don't know about you, why don't you just explain a little bit of what you do? Because I'm so inspired by your journey. I have a very similar journey. I'm a mom as well. So going through your reels and just your page and stuff was really inspiring. But for those of the people that don't have the pleasure of knowing who you are, just let them know a little bit.
So basically, I grew up in a Hispanic culture where they told me that college was like the only way to go. Get a job in the medical field. You're always going to be safe there. You're going to have great benefits. So as I started growing up, I took like sciences because I was kind of already mentally preparing myself on becoming like something in the medical field, whether it was a physician, an actual doctor, something. And then as I started to grow up, I'm like, you know what? Like, I don't want to do things that society tells me to do. Like, even in school growing up, I would get bullied because I didn't want to wear a uniform. I wanted to wear what I wanted to wear. I wanted to express myself. And if a certain outfit made me feel good inside, then I wanted to wear it, right? Like, if I wanted to come every day with my hair and my makeup done to school, why couldn't I do that? And like, even as little as like 12 years old, I would get sent down to the office every day for not wearing uniform. I wasn't trying to impress anybody. It was just truly who I was. So growing up, I felt like I was kind of steered in a way to do what everybody else says. And then when I finally got old enough to kind of determine my own decisions, I told my mom, hey, I'm dropping out of school. I know that you might be a little freaked out, but I know that deep down inside of me, I'm going to make something out of it. And that's why I fell in love with business, because with business, there's really no like blueprint or like A through Z steps, right? It's kind of just like dive into it, figure it out, learn from it. If it works, keep doing it. If it doesn't, then find another way and continue.
Yeah. I love that you said that. I think the biggest thing is people always see like people, you know, like us, like where we've had to go through a lot of stuff to get to where we are today. You've been through a lot to get to where you are today. You know, it seems like what you're saying also too is like during the journey can sometimes be an alone type of thing, or you're gonna feel alone, or you might have to like put your blinders up and follow yourself. And it's amazing that you trusted yourself, because another reason why it was important for us to create this platform is to give other women the courage, and maybe some type of a tool to help them, you know, learn to trust themselves, or to find courage with finding their own authenticity. And so my question is, what did you do, or what do you currently do when you're faced where it seems like the world is against you, but you know in your heart that you need to level up or take that next step, even though people aren't going to agree with you?
Oh, perspective, honestly. And I love that question because I can relate to it so much. That's kind of how I feel like right now. But just know that adversity, you're not growing. And with growth comes the feeling of uncomfort. So it's just like knowing that you're on the right path because you kind of feel uncomfortable. And then that's where like the growth is going to happen. Also, like not becoming a victim of like your past, accepting the things that you can't control, right? I always say like be careful with like what you wish.
Yeah.
Do you really want massive empire? Because if you can't even handle your problems at this level, what's going to make you think that you're going to be able to handle all those problems at that level, right? And definitely the more my business grows, the more I realize that money is not what makes me happy. Money is great, cool, but as I continue my business journey, I become less attached to it and more attached to like owning who I am and finding myself.
Do you have any specific tools? Like I know the last 2 months you had mentioned that you had shut down social media to really take care of you. You are like, you really prioritize your physical wellness. And I think a lot of people need to understand that it's not just about the aesthetics of the body, but it's about how it's like mental health. Like when you actually really take care of your body, it does impact your mind and your emotions. And would you be able to share with people watching and try to explain like the importance of that
Yes,
for
well,
you?
going back to what you said, right, when you kind of like corrected me, like actually your business is just an extension of you, which is correct. Being, building my business within 4 years on social media, it's like I became attached to my goals. And it's like I made my goals my identity, and that's not the case. So I truly wanted to see how powerful I was without social media. It's like I kept waking up, and I kept waking up because I was just like in fear, like who's gonna hurt me next,
Mm.
right? Like who am I gonna compare myself to? Like it's just being comfortable in your own skin without that outside gratification. So I'm like, okay, like I'm tired of feeling this way. Like I just literally have to detach. Like I became obsessed with checking and checking and checking, and this person get this, and oh my God, she's doing this. Why is my business not at that level? And then, when people would tell me, oh my God, you inspire me, like I truly wouldn't be inspired by myself. So I didn't get it. And I kind of used those messages to fuel me
Mm.
and myself. So I'm like, okay, you know what? To do and to get things I've never done before, or to get to the things that I really truly want, to have to do things that I've never done before, right?
Mm.
Um, Something just told me like get off of social media. I deleted the app, and I'm like, me thinking, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna get back on in a few days. Few days went by, and I'm like, I actually love the fact that I'm so present. I can enjoy my cup of coffee without taking a picture. I can enjoy this meal, like, oh my God, Instagram, people need to see this. That I was like, for once in my life, I truly knew the definition of being like present and owning who you are.
Mm.
And I love that you bring that up because I feel like there's also so many women
Yeah.
that look at your page and feel the same, like, oh well, why can't I do it like her? Why is she so beautiful and I'm not? Why, just a bunch of the comparing. Unfortunately, even though these platforms are so powerful to build your brand and to, just excel within yourself, it's also a cancer in a sense. And I feel like that's what people really need to understand, that yes, you can enjoy social media, but don't turn it into something that is going to affect you, like comparing, because I know I've done it. I feel like we're all guilty of doing it one time or another,
Mm.
is comparing ourselves to social media. Because one big thing that happens a lot with social media is people will always put the good, the highlights, the reels, the vacations, all these things, but never put the struggles it takes to get there. So they're feeling like, oh, well, their life is so perfect and I'm going through all this. One thing that is really important for everyone to understand is we all have our own struggles within ourselves. I'm
Mhm.
sure that, you've had an amazing journey, but a journey full of struggle as well. So it's never good to compare. And I just wanted to make that point, to let, our viewers know that things aren't always sunshine and rainbows. Just because you see something on social media doesn't necessarily mean that it's true. Most of the things on social media really aren't.
And even if like people look at like somebody that has like a thriving business, it's like you don't know what that person is truly feeling deep down. Money,
Mm.
no comparison to like the amount of gratitude and money like you can have. So I much rather have gratitude. Obviously, money is great if I can have both, which is the goal, right?
That's
Money
the
is more
goal.
valuable.
Yes.
The goal is to have it all, that we can have it all, and to, support each other, because the opposite, is one thing, is like a shadow trait is of jealousy is admiration. So if you see people that are doing what you want to do, like give them a compliment, reach out to them, have them on your show. Like, we brought you on here because we admire you. You know, we want to celebrate you. We want to celebrate the amazing things you're doing, because what inspired the Minding My Business was that Danielle and I both work on ourselves really hard. We mind our business, and we see other women that are doing the same, and we celebrate them. We admire them, and we want to raise them up. And I feel that we definitely need more of that. And so what are some tools that you use? Because sometimes in this journey, it can feel like it's an alone thing. But I know you have two beautiful babies. You seem like you have an amazing husband and a support system at home. But as a woman, as a business owner, as a mom, what is it that kept you just in your lane, minding your business? And what are some of the tools that kept you super focused when you got all these distractions pulling at you, like social media or voices?
Definitely, like the person who I envision myself to be in just a few years. I applaud my progress, even if it's small. So like those are the things that keep me going. And I accept my feelings. Like if I'm not feeling today, I'm gonna accept it, and then I'm gonna work backwards. Like, okay, Alana, why are you feeling like this? Right? Who made you feel like this? Remember that if you're feeling that way, that person is just a trigger, but they are not the source. So it's like doing the constant work, and even though you don't feel your best today, it's like being there for you and clapping for you for getting up and just owning yourself. So those are just a lot of self-talk. And if you feel like you're in a constant battle with yourself, then definitely go to therapy. Talk to like a friend that is in therapy, you know, just like talk to somebody that has, again, that minds their own business, that like doesn't speak bad about other people, that doesn't want to go and the first thing that you say, hi, how are you, is like gossip, right? Poison.
Yeah.
But definitely finding like reasons, and that's why I'm so passionate about building a community, because it's like a lot of us, if not most of us, go through, have anxiety, have depression, have struggles. So it's just like kind of normalizing that. And I feel like why people kind of dig themselves deep in a hole is because they think that they're the only ones going through it, and that's not the case. So community, for me, being yourself, is like my purpose, especially in business as well. That's like my main mission: community and being that light in other people's life.
That's amazing. What are some of the main resources that you feel really make you feel fulfillment? I know you mentioned like community, but what are some things that you do for yourself? Some things that you do to keep you on point when you are feeling a low, or you're having an anxiety attack, or you're feeling super depressed? I know you mentioned self-dialogue, you mentioned therapy, but what are some things that you do to really connect with the true source of your higher self?
I also journal regardless, but journaling definitely helps, and working out, even if it's just moving my body. And then also being present and being aware of like how my body's feeling. And if I feel like that it's tense, then I really like breathe in and out through my mouth just a few times to release all that energy and just to loosen up my body as well.
So Alana, I do see that you have two beautiful kids. Even a little one. How old is he? Like, está de meses?
He's 10.
Is he here yet? 10 months. Ooh, you got your hands full, girl.
Yeah.
I have a 2-year-old as well, and two other kids. I have an 11 and 9-year-old, along with my 2-year-old. And it's really hard to juggle, you know, being a mom and a business owner. What are a few things that you do to implement your kids or really have that work and life balance?
I schedule it in. Like I use Google Calendar. If you guys don't have the app, you need to download it right now. I schedule everything in. Like I schedule my journaling, getting my 3-year-old's lunch ready for school, and putting my phone down. And although I don't have a lot of time with them throughout the day, when I do spend time with them, I make sure that I'm present. I'm aware of their behavior. I'm aware of my behavior and how I'm speaking to them, and just making sure that they feel love, making sure that they can just be themselves around me, even if they feel cranky, right? I always ask, because she's 3, whenever she is throwing a fit, I'm like, Olivia, what are you feeling right now? And she's like, I'm feeling cranky actually. Oh, I'm making her aware of like her own feelings and accepting it. Just just literally like using my tools that I use on myself onto my kids and being present.
That's powerful stuff. It sounds like you've done shadow work.
Yes, I do. Yes, a
A
lot.
lot of people don't know about that. Would you be able to tell the audience what shadow work is and how it's impacted you? And you're also sharing it with your children.
Yeah. So basically, I guess, I mean, I'm not a therapist, but I have done,
You have
uh,
experience.
my therapist definitely is more of like a hypnosis therapist, and we do a lot of shadow work. So basically, just kind of regressing back to our childhood and seeing why I feel a certain way when someone, for example, like my husband does something and I get triggered, just like going back into time and seeing kind of whatever he did, what reminded me of my childhood. For example, like if he said or did a movement that like my dad did that I wasn't aware of right then and there, then taking the time to go back and seeing like why and just kind of releasing it, if that's what you mean.
Yeah, I mean, I think I love when people do it because I can tell you've done it, and just a little like things that you share and about the awareness and processing emotions and people. I just want people to understand that it's so powerful. And if we're talking about elevating your business, because typically people always want to know like how do I become successful in business, you have to first master yourself. And
Mm-hmm.
if you're not aware of how you're feeling or how to express yourself and how to cope with negative thoughts or process negative thoughts and emotions without numbing yourself, without hurting yourself and hurting others, you're never going to fully reach your potential in business because your business is just an extension of you. So I think it's so important that like, when people are doing the work, that number one, like it's very admirable because the work is, I feel, for the strongest of the strong. Like this work is not for the weak, but this is how you become super strong.
Definitely changed my life. And also having a partner that's like doing the work with you and understands like why you react a certain way, and understanding that he he just understanding that, not to take it personal, that he knows that if I said something, it's because he triggered me, and he doesn't take things personal as well. But also, it also helps too, because in business, like you can't take things personal. Like you are not responsible for anybody's feelings. And I think running a business, again, going back to what you said, it all starts with you. Leadership. That's huge. Like if you don't know how to manage yourself and your emotions, how are you going to be able to process and manage other people's emotions?
And Alana, you
Amen to
did
that.
that you and your husband are doing the work together, which I love because mine and myself and my husband are also on the same beautiful journey. Um, do you, what do you want to tell all the people, all the single women especially, about finding a man? I know I've gotten a lot of, you know, DMs and people asking me about their love life. You know, we're not love experts whatsoever, but I feel like we do have a small insight as to what we want
Yes.
as business women. For example, myself, you know, I've been with my husband for a very long time, for 12 years now, and we weren't the people we were back then. We were, you know, just teenagers when we got together. So, doing that work together has really brought out a different side of ourselves. What would you tell people about that journey?
I have chills because this conversation gets me so excited. Just, by the way, congratulations on like being 12 years together and doing the work together. That's
Oh,
definitely
that's always been easy, girl. Let me tell you.
I
But
know. If he's me, because if he's willing and you guys are both willing to do that work, it's like you guys connect on like just more than a physical level. It's like spiritual, you know. And it's funny because I've only been with my husband. I mean, I call it my husband, but we're not legally married, but like spiritually we are. um so it's crazy because I never understood, like, when you know, you just know. And then I met him, and it's like, oh, I just kind of knew. And we've only been together for about 2 years. I got pregnant with him like 2 months later, engaged months later, and we're definitely not the people that we were just 2 years ago. So, but going back to kind of just some advice, definitely do not tolerate disrespect. And the one thing, it's never too early to start therapy. Never too early, because sometimes people are not always who they seem to be. So doing therapy together and just kind of like uncovering layers together makes you connect on just a different level. And it helps understand both of you guys, you know, because you guys are two individuals who each have their trauma. And if one person's not aware of their trauma, and you know, you trigger them, they're gonna react in a bad way, and then you're gonna take it personal, whatever. Just, it's never too early to start therapy, and don't settle. You know, deep down in your gut, like when you're just settling or you're staying in something that is just not right for you. And just know that, like, it's gonna be uncomfortable, but feelings are temporary. Trust yourself, trust the universe, trust God, whatever you believe in, that your destination is already mapped out. So all you need to do is trust. Trust in you, trust your gut. Because you know.
And put in the work.
And don't judge yourself on the way.
Hey, it's Tanya. I'm calling a quick timeout intermission huddle, so bring it in. I'm personally inviting you to our inner circle. It's our monthly VIP meetup with other achievers just like us. Each week, I'm teaching everything you're going to need in order to be successful, to step into the most elite version of yourself. I'm going to break this down play by play, the tools, the systems, the strategies, everything you're going to need in order to operate at higher levels mentally, physically, emotionally, and energetically. Look, we're in a season where the idea of full potential just isn't cutting it anymore. It's time to really be it now. So click the link in the show notes and I'll see you in the inner circle. Peace.
I feel like that's a very tough thing for people doing the work. They start to feel as they're not deserving because of their past, and they bring those traumas that hurt everything forward. And sometimes it's subconsciously, because I know I've never told myself I don't deserve this, but now that I'm doing the work and I sit back and I think about it, subconsciously that's exactly what I was doing. Oh, I don't deserve this because of A, B, and C.
Yeah.
So I love how you say not to judge yourself, because I feel like we do that so much, whether it's known or subconsciously. It's like we're just on autopilot, you know? So we have to reprogram our mind. We have to reprogram our desires. Just reprogram ourselves completely in order to take those steps forward. Because as we all know, how Tanya said, an extension of our business is ourselves. How do we expect God, the universe, to give us something that we can't handle? God's never going to set us up for disaster, ever. So if we're not doing the work within ourselves to get to the next level, how are we going to keep leveling up and keep growing?
Exactly. I love that. Awesome.
Speaking of leveling up, I was going to ask this, so that's like perfect to like piggyback off Daniela. You mentioned you are in a space of becoming. I love this. What would you be able to share with us And if you guys have questions for Alana as well, just drop them in the comment box. We do see them. If there's a question we are going to be saving this. It will be saved. But speaking of leveling up, what are you working on right now as far as like becoming? Oh, she disappeared. Oh, to be continued. I don't know where she went. So anyway, if you guys have, we're going to try to get her back on, but if you guys in the meantime have any questions for Alana or for us, please go ahead and put them in the chat box. Normalizing therapy with our partner. How would you ladies explain normalizing therapy with your partner? I always say, well, I'll let Daniela go, but I would say, all right, we're going to add you on right now. Is like first, if anything, go first, put yourself in the hot seat first. But I think having that conversation, and if they're not on board, then put yourself in it first. Hold on, let me get her in here.
And sometimes, honestly, just be honest and let them know, I'm trying to level up. I'm trying to do the work myself because I know I'm not perfect. I would love if you can join me on this journey so that we can grow together. Because the last thing you want to do is outgrow your partner. But unfortunately, it happens sometimes when you do the work. Like, we're talking about the good. Now we got to talk about the ugly too. Sometimes you do outgrow that partner, Sometimes that person's not going to want to level up. Sometimes that person's not going to want to do the work and better themselves. So why are you going to stay like in that situation, like Alana said, and settle?
Yeah. So, and that's not only just your partner, it's also your friends too. It's also your friends. So relationships are relationships, and you become who you surround yourself with. So when you're doing the work, it's so important that, as the ladies were saying, that you obviously put yourself in it, have the conversation, invite. I always say like invite, don't tell people like you have to do this, because it actually, if you have a rebellious personality, like I know all three of us have, that we don't like to be told what to do, but when we're invited to like be a part of a journey, it makes it more like, I guess like less resistance. But Alana, somebody was asking in the chat about like, how do you get your partner on board when you guys maybe first started doing therapy? How did you initiate that conversation before we start getting into the leveling up part?
So funny story. It was actually like my sister who initiated the conversation. And then he was already doing therapy prior to meeting me with a different therapist. And then I was just kind of like hopeless and tired of being tired at that point with just like myself too. Then I'm like, okay, you know what? I'm just gonna try this thing. Naturally, I've always like suppressed my emotions, and my husband is kind of just like an open book. And I'm that suppress emotions and then show up like as if I'm not hurting. So therapy has really taught me the importance of speaking about how you feel. Obviously not disrespectfully, but like if you feel a certain way, say it. So I guess for me, it was kind of like my sister brought us on board, and then he was already used to it in a way. So then I was just kind of like, okay, I'm tired of being tired. Let me just do this therapy thing, because I guess it's the last thing that I have to do. So, and it worked. It's working. It's a journey. I'm never gonna not do therapy. I actually have to like schedule my session this week because I'm a bit irritable. So yeah.
But you were invited, right? So it was like an invitation. It wasn't like you have to do this. It's like, hey, I'm doing this, and I think it would be beneficial if we did it together.
Definitely.
So speaking of leveling up, before we got caught off, I was like, maybe she doesn't want to talk about the next level anymore. But speaking of leveling up, if you would share with us, like how, number one, is there a process to when you know it's time to level up? Like, how do you know when it's time to level up?
For me personally, is when I feel stagnant and kind of like bored. I don't like to feel bored. I kind of like to feel overwhelmed in a sense. So that's how I level up, and it's worked out. You know, I guess there's
Hmm.
always an intense personality that I can juggle many things at one time very well because again, I think because I work on myself and I attract like an awesome team, it's totally possible with them, you know. But
Hmm.
again, it all starts with leveling up.
Yeah. And you've also, it sounds like you've also created, because I do believe we create, that you've created a support system during your process of leveling up and scaling yourself. Like you've put the right people in places with the therapy, and you've chosen your partner because you chose him and he chose you. And, you know, you chose your career, you chose the people that are going to be in your inner circle. And so I think that's important also to let people know is like, you need to make sure that you choose the right support system when you are scaling so you're able to, you feel, I guess, capable of handling the intense triggered emotions that come along for the ride of growth.
Yes, going back to relationships, I would not be where I am today if I stayed in my two previous relationships. And sometimes you gotta like let go and let God and trust me that it's all gonna work out and it's gonna feel like a miracle. But no, it's just you detaching from like negative energy. And like you can only grow so much with a negative partner. And that's what I strongly believe in.
Preach it,
Hmm.
girl. Preach it. Because it's not just with your partner, it's also with your friends. You know,
Yes.
if you go, if let's say you have a circle of friends and you go to this circle of friends and you're talking to them and all you're hearing and receiving back is negativity, um,
Gossip,
limited emotions, just gossip, just negativity in general, you're soaking
complaints,
all
excuses.
Yeah.
excuses, yes, all of that. You're just absorbing all that. You don't want to be around that energy. So you have to detach yourself from it, even if you've known them for a long time, even if they're, you know, at one moment in time, they were just an amazing friendship. Some things don't last forever. Sometimes people come into our lives for a certain amount of time and that's it. You know, it doesn't mean that you hate them. It doesn't mean that you wish them bad. It doesn't mean anything negative. It just means that you outgrew the person, that they just don't align with your vision, your hopes, and your desires. So
Yes.
then you have to go around like minded people because guess what? When you go around those like minded people, then guess what's going to happen? Your light bulbs are going to start going off. Your energy is going to be lifted. You're going to be motivated because that's what you want. You want to be surrounded by people who are going to motivate you and push you to be the best you.
You're gonna
So,
you're limitless. You know, like
Hmm.
you're any kind of goal is gonna seem again, for example, like I've heard this like the five people you hang around with, like you're not gonna make 5,000 more dollars yearly if you constantly are around them. And I've definitely seen it happen. For me, thankfully, like I was kind of always like a loner, because I didn't want to feel obligated to like go to a birthday dinner, and if I didn't go then they would feel some kind of way. Like I've just always done whatever I wanted to, and if I didn't want to go I don't have to owe somebody an explanation. So it's just like I always surrounded myself around like people like that. For example, like my best friend, we don't talk every day, and if I don't show up to like a birthday dinner, like she's not gonna feel any kind of way because she knows like I'm like that. So it's just like getting around people who you don't have to owe me an explanation to either. And you're allowed to detach from them and you don't owe anybody an explanation. Hey, I'm working on myself. I hope to, catch up with you soon, but it's nothing to take personal if I haven't reached out to you. And
And
like
I
that's
think, yeah, and for those of you trying to like grasp that concept, there's two types of love. And what Alana is explaining is that's conscious love, where it's like more of love, like I love you no matter what. I understand and I accept you for who you are, the wholeness of you. and I'll always love you. And there's love that also stems from manipulation, and that's I'll only love you under my terms and my circumstances. And if you behave the way that I want, then I will show you love. And if you don't, then I won't. And it's important. That's a lesson I learned like the last year and a half, is the difference between love from manipulation and love from consciousness. So it's amazing that you found that. And one thing Daniela said was about like outgrowing. And you can even, this is getting back to Alana about you scaling to another level right now, is outgrowing yourself. And just if you outgrow friends, it's important that you're always going to come through phases where you've outgrown yourself and it's time to level up into that new version of you. So what version of yourself are you becoming right now?
Definitely a leader. Definitely. I was always the type of person that I didn't want to say anything because I didn't want to make them feel a certain way. And something that my husband told me was like, if you don't want to have the uncomfortable conversations, then get off the chair. And I'm like, oh, okay. So owning your power, stepping into like who you truly are and like who you want to be. So definitely that's who I'm becoming, getting comfortable with being uncomfortable, like owning the fact that like I am a business owner. Well, it's an extension of me, but like I am a business owner. I need to like take full charge because the environment is only like a product of you. So that's definitely what I'm working on as well.
So that's more of like business, but what about like, so leadership is what you're working on right now, one of your big main focal points. I know you're putting more energy also too into your body. I've seen the transformation in just like a few short months. What are you working on as far as like, I don't know, even like friendships and stuff like that? Like, do you feel really solid with your level of friendships?
I mean, I'm like, I don't really talk to that many people. But when I do, I try to just shed as much light and be as intentional as I can. Like, I'm just not about like, hey, what's up? How are you? Like, conversations. Like, if I'm gonna, and anybody that comes or like anybody that comes by me, they know that I'm either like gonna hold them accountable, I'm either gonna like give them some kind of value, or I'm just gonna like leave them feeling extremely good. So that's just what I feel like is a true friendship as well.
That's amazing.
Just like energy, good energy.
Relationships are definitely an exchange of energy. Definitely.
That was another reasons why too we wanted to create this, is like I don't feel like we'd have the opportunity to connect with an amazing woman like yourself. And we were, one day we were having a conversation, we're talking about like we need to create our own table of women that we want to sit at our table, and how they're going to really also inspire us to be a better version of ourselves. And we're like, that's how this show really evolved, is we have the opportunity of connecting with people from all over and getting to meet and, build some form of a relationship with other amazing women like you. So if you don't have it, you can create it.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. We all manifested this moment.
Yes. Yep. And but it all started with us minding our business, working on ourselves, and then you do attract who you are. One thing that I learned actually 8 months ago was that whether you like it or not, everything is an external expression of what you're internally suppressing. So if you're attracting toxicity or drama or whatever thing you're not liking, besides it being a mirror, it might just be something you're deeply suppressing. So, as we're working on ourselves, we get to see the reward of our reflections as well in a positive light, and with admiration. And like you said, like we attracted this woman because we attracted in some degree a mirror of ourselves.
Yeah, and it's kind of spooky sometimes, because a lot of it, I know like with Bobby, yourself. A lot of the things that you say, I'm like, in my head, I'm like, oh, I do that too. Oh, wait, I'm going through that too. So it's really nice to have that feeling of, oh, okay, I'm not alone. Oh, okay, I must be moving in the right direction, you know, because I feel like a lot of queens move alike. You know, we're not all the same, but we have a lot of the same aspirations. We have a lot of the same drive, a lot of the same habits, you know. So then it just teaches others that if you pick up on, you know, even if it's one or two of these habits that we're speaking about, you can go on your journey as well. You know, I feel like a lot of people get very intimidated to start doing the work on themselves because they feel like they have to have everything perfect, everything has to be quick. Like, no, we're all three of us here are still learning. We're still on a journey. I feel like you never will be perfect. You're never, and that's not what we aspire to be. We don't aspire to be perfect. For example, speaking for myself, I just want to be the best version of myself. I don't want to be the best, you know, Kim Kardashian or Kylie Jenner. I want to be the best Daniela. So as long as that's what you're aspiring to be, then just start your journey. You know, you might take a few step backs along the road, but just always remember that if you take a 1 or 2 steps back, it's only to take 10 forward. You know, and by having these tools and knowing these tools, when those situations happen, when you get triggered, when you get upset, whatever it might be, you have these tools now to be able to collect yourself back together and keep moving forward.
Exactly. So, oh my God, I'm like, I just want to say 1,000 things as you were saying
Say
stuff,
it.
but
Go ahead.
that I struggled with, and I spoke about this with my therapist, like perfectionism. Um, Sometimes I stress because things are not perfect, but it's like, okay, what is perfect at this point? Just like a message, like you don't need to like have it all figured out in order to like start your journey. You just need to like take the daily steps and the daily habits to build that long-term success, whether it's financially, physically, spiritually. Like there's no shortcuts to it, but focusing on today, the next 24, that's all we have. That's all we can control. Like whatever we're doing right at this moment. So I just wanted to throw that in. I get a lot of DMs like, I want to start, but I don't know how. I'm like, take the first step. Just focus on the first step. Like you feel like you don't know what you're doing because you're focusing on all the things that you have to do when it's just taking that initial step.
And maybe the step is just waking up earlier and taking care of yourself and going to work out.
Just like taking out a paper and pen and just writing how you feel in that moment. Maybe that's the first step. Maybe the first step is, okay, you want to try something, take a course and try it out. If it doesn't work, okay, let's on to the next. If it does, perfect. What's the next step after that? But you have to take
Is just to do it.
just like stop over planning. Stop like trying to create, and just like do and be yourself and like post that post even if it's not perfect. Again, like one of my main things too on my platform is to not only post like my accomplishments, but to also post the struggles. And like yesterday was like a day that I was feeling extremely down, and I'm like, you know what? I think that people need to hear this, and it's just like sharing whatever you're feeling, and I promise you, like somebody's gonna relate to that, and then you're gonna help somebody out, and it's like a domino effect.
And I think that it's important you say that because with both of what you said, because like nobody's alone in this journey. We just, all think that we're doing it on our own. But I feel that the more that we speak up about it and create community, that it's going to give somebody permission, whether just seeing somebody else do it, inspire them to also do the same. Be like, okay, I can accept this because I'm not the only one. Sometimes just knowing that other people also struggle, you're like, okay, I don't have to feel so bad about myself. Not that we need that validation, but sometimes it's nice to know that other people are in it as well. And especially when all you see on social media is that people have it together, they look so mentally strong and physically strong, and everybody has off days. They have off days, they have on days, but how quickly are you getting back up? And the consistency. I think the one thing too is people need to understand, like, sometimes you're not going to reap the rewards for months or even for years. You know, you said you've been working on your business for 4 years, right?
For like, if it's like the amount of work that I put in probably equates to like 8 years, honestly.
Yeah. Every day.
Every day, every hour of the day. And that's something that like I have been trying to do, like be more present, detach from work, because that is not who I am. I am Alana. I'm more than just a human. I am a soul. I am a being, like, and just understanding that simple thing, understanding something that's like far more greater than the human mind can even understand.
Yeah, and it's consistency. You have to consistently every single day, like, show up for yourself. And it's a daily thing, like you ladies were talking about. Like, your personal power is in today. It's in the present moment, because today's the only day you can make different decisions or make different choices, or, you know, build whoever you're trying to build yourself into being, and being patient with yourself along the way, you know, as you were saying.
I want to say one thing.
Yes.
I feel like the reason why people don't start is because they've convinced themselves already that they can't do it. That, yeah,
Make excuses in their head.
yep, they visualize their dream business, and then it's like they self-sabotage themselves as to why they can't achieve that, right? When it's, again, daily habits and time. Like, if you or I love studying successful people, and that's one of my like habits on the day to day. And guess what? Like, everybody that you see out there with like huge platforms, huge businesses, like have been in business 20 plus years to get to what they have. And it's like, are you really attached to the material stuff? Right? Because if you love business, why do you want it to end? It's like, when you already achieve those things, what's next? I feel like you're gonna spiral down, because it's like, what's next, right? I think of Kylie Jenner, like, yes, she can buy anything she wants, like, and then what's next, right? What makes me wake up on the day to day is like achieving, right? Like having something to work towards.
And that never ends either. Like, even when you accomplish those things, then you're like, okay, it's what next? And you don't have to figure it out until you first take that first step, and then the second step will appear. And then, but when you do it, because you guys talked about like not starting, so the opposite of procrastination, actually did a live on this last week, was there's two reasons why I procrastinate. One is overwhelm, and the other is overwhelm, and then the other one was just like not feeling safe to move forward. And people don't realize, like, they don't even realize, like, that's a part of it, not feeling safe to move forward. That fear of like, okay, well, will I be able to handle whatever I'm about to get into? Like, can I sustain that level of whatever it is that I'm trying to accomplish? And that's why I think it's important, as you mentioned with the journaling, that if you give yourself time to actually process your thoughts and your fears and your negative patterns of thinking, you can start to course correct them.
And a big, oh, sorry, go ahead, Alana.
Sometimes I look back into my journal, and it was crazy. Like, for almost a whole year straight, I was just like full of fear. Like, oh, he's gonna hurt me. He's gonna hurt me. He's gonna hurt me. Like, that's literally like the first thing that I would wake up thinking about. Crazy. And then now it's like, I look at my journal in the last few months, it's just like, wow, this is the happiest I've ever been. So you guys journal, like, document your life, whether it's on camera, paper, whatever, Go ahead, sorry.
Oh no, yeah, I'm agreeing with you, girl, because it's honestly that journaling is so powerful. Even if it's just like a journal dump, like just dumping everything. Like let's say you're really upset one day and you just want to like let it out. Write down all your feelings, all your emotions on your journal, and I promise you, it is like a weight lifted off your chest. But one thing that I did want to mention was I just read this book called Focus, and it's to really help you focus on your goal, whatever it is, whatever your goal is. Besides having that big goal, it's always good to set up those little goals so that you feel some sort of achievement along the way. But a big trick that I really thought was so interesting was one of the actual exercises was to make a list, a to-do list every day, right? And the first thing to put on your to-do list is just put wake up. Why? Because taking that motion, I have my little to-do list here. I'm just gonna write it down. So just putting wake up and taking it and crossing it off is already you accomplishing one thing already throughout the day. Like you already woke up, took that initiative to start your day, so keep it going. And if you don't go through all the things on your list, that's okay. Do it again the next day, add it on the next day, and eventually you'll get that crossed off too, and that will be another accomplishment towards your big goal.
Definitely.
Somebody in here wrote like writing the I am, and I just want to add to that, because I've been through so many different transitions coming from a space of addiction and stuff like that, and trying to develop at a low point when I was suicidal of becoming into a space of who I am today. And everything I feel is a process. Some people can go from A to Z, but not many can. And when you're saying the I am affirmations, most of the time, they don't really work because the energy doesn't match the word. There has to be some type of a belief, which you were talking about, Alana, where you have to really believe that you're going to win, or you're going to build that business, or you're going to succeed. And if you don't, there is a process. So you can say, I'm in the process of becoming healthy. I'm in the process of learning how to become more mentally strong. I'm in the process of finding my peace. And it becomes more believable and gives hope. And hope is a stairway to the I am. And it's okay to have like a process, but I wanted to make sure that you guys understood that, because I remember when I was getting into affirmation work, it really made me angry, and it was like a reverse. So I had to figure out how it could work for me, because I knew that it was powerful. But I wanted to touch on that, because everybody's like, say the I am. So I was like, it doesn't really work for everybody. There's sometimes a little process in between.
Like the baby steps.
The baby steps, the day-by-day steps. And that also comes back to what you're talking about a lot today. And what Danielle is also touching on is like focusing back on like the daily things and recognizing your emotion behind what you're doing and what you're saying. If you start to speak something and you're, for example, writing your goals on who you're trying to become or what you're aspiring to do or what your goals are, and you feel negative energy towards it, then you could, by writing or journaling, or even I like to use my phone and brain dump in my phone, because sometimes I need to verbally speak it out loud. The writing, I feel like too slow in my writing, but if I could speak it out loud for whatever reason, then I'll play it back to myself, and to hear my voice talking back to me, something just shifts. Yeah. And it's also a really powerful thing on that too. So, yeah, I mean, I wanted to touch on that. I think that's important.
I have just like a little word of advice. For those of you who visualize and see yourself there, no one else needs to believe in that dream but you. Yeah. Funny story. I just like a few years back, right? I was walking in the parking lot with my friend at the time, and I'm like, oh my God, I have a thing for cars. I've always had a thing for cars since I was little. I would ask like my mom for like Hot Wheels for Christmas, and I was like this girly girl. Um, so I'm like, oh my God, I love that car. Like I'm gonna get that car in a year, and then after I get that car, then I'm gonna get that Rolls Royce. But it's gonna take me a few years. She's like, she looks at me, she's like, you're crazy. I'm like, I didn't feel any anger or anything. I was just confused. I'm like, why does she think I'm crazy? Like I saw it, I felt it, I visualized it, and then a year later, I literally had that car. And I'm like, okay, you see, like I'm not crazy, but it's just like a reflection of themselves. So going back, like don't take anything personal, and nobody else needs to see your vision but you. Like people are gonna call you crazy along the way. You're not crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Now you're
Yeah.
crazy. You're not doing anything to get it, right? So just had to put that out there because I always get that in my DMs as well.
No, I love that. It's funny because I have, when I read things that are impactful, I'll put like little notes. I've had this here by my computer, and there's a book called The Secret Prayer. It says, first off, don't beg or don't chase. And when you pray with gratitude, no expectations, and you take massive action. A lot of people get confused with that, like sitting and twiddling their thumbs. You have to take massive action, you guys. And that when you pray, prayer is for us to get right with God, and that your prayers don't always have to be verbalized. So you can keep that between you and the divine. Because like Alana was saying, not everybody's, people are going to shut you down. And if your dreams are vulnerable, if you're doing the work and you're just starting to build up self-belief, because it is a muscle, that keep your big dreams to yourself unless you're part of a community that's going to celebrate and support you. Because not everybody's going to believe in you. People are going to be jealous. People are going to have their own limiting beliefs. And if you share things and they're in a space of like in incubation or not even existent, and you're just starting to believe in them, and somebody shuts you down and you believe them more so than yourself, you're never going to live on purpose and live a life of fulfillment. And that's really just not living.
Yeah, definitely.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Well, thank you
like,
so much. Did you want to add anything else? Sorry to interrupt you.
so just like a little exercise, when somebody tells me that I can't, I say, I can. I can do that. Why can I not do that? That is possible. I just now need to work backwards. And just like whenever you're writing like your manifesto or like your vision board, like don't just write it to write it, but like write it, see it, feel it, okay, and then work backwards. Okay, so I want to, for example, hit this goal. Okay, what are the things that I need to do to get there? Because I'm already there now. I just got to work backwards. And then break goals into monthly, weekly, and daily goals that you need to do. So
I
just
love
wanted
it.
to,
No, that's powerful. I mean, these are the things we actually really want to talk about. So sometimes in the beginning, it's just kind of like, how do we get to the juicy part? Like we want to give people strategy. We want people to leave with tools. We want them to leave with like little exercises and things to become better after each conversation with each guest. So thank you for that. Let me see. Does anybody have any questions for Alana in here that you want to ask? Or if you want to hop up on here and ask something, you're more than welcome. We want this to be interactive. So if you have any specific questions before we sign out, you are amazing as well. Thank you all for joining us today. How do you detach from people when you know it's time to level up? That's a good question.
How do you detach?
Did you want to answer that, Alana?
Daniela, go ahead.
I believe first, oh, go ahead, Alana.
Oh no, sorry, I just got cut off. How do you detach from? You need to trust yourself. Trust yourself, and it's gonna hurt, and accept the pain, but just know that with those pains, those are growing pains. So just putting things into perspective as well.
Yeah.
And
I would
my
say when it comes to like relationships, one thing that I had to learn, especially like with family, because you can't just like cut family out, or you can't, people that you've been friends with for so long, is you just make yourself unavailable. And when I started doing my own growth work, like I really got heavily into the yoga community, and I would just invite like my friends that I was outgrowing into the things that my new hobbies. So it was never a negotiable, like I wasn't partying anymore, but I was going to yoga and drinking juice. And I was like, hey, this is what I'm doing. You're more than welcome to invite me. And that was that. So if I was unavailable, but I would still invite them. And if they decided they wanted to level up with me, they would be a part of it. And if they didn't, then I just was unavailable.
I love that, because that's exactly what I was gonna say, is that you invite them, because me personally, I want to feel like I did everything in my power to help this person and to keep them in my life, because it like Alana said, it is a growing pain. You do love, these relationships. These people have, some of them, seen you at your lowest. So you don't want to just be like, oh, okay, bye, I'm done, I'm leveling up. No, you want to bring them along. But the thing is that when you're extending your hand to bring them up, if they're trying to drag you back down, that's when you have to say, you know what? I'm changing. I want you to change with me. I want you to grow with me. But if that's not something that you're ready for, no judgment, but I'm just not available today.
Exactly.
Oh, let's
And
see
so,
what else.
Because you don't want people to bring you back down to the person that you're trying to outgrow. And unfortunately, it's the people that know you the longest that know how to push those triggers.
yeah.
Somebody wants to do a vision board party with you, Alana.
Yeah, so I'm actually doing like a challenge, and it ends next week, where I challenge them to like work out, drink a gallon of water, do their journal. Like I created a community to like hold everybody accountable and like give them like the tools and the resources and the things to cross off, like Daniela was saying, on their to-do list. So just building like those daily habits that really build momentum in order to take massive action. So I think for sure, I think our last call will be a vision board party.
Amazing. So you guys can go DM her for any questions of her community and her support groups and her accountability groups. I know you're doing amazing things, and I see a lot of people write like testimonials that you're posting in your stories, and just seems like you're really impacting like a lot of lives, and that's just so cool. I'm just trying to look at somebody says, what was the last book? What was the last book, please? Daniela would mention Focus. Right?
Yeah, Focus. So you can send me a DM. I don't have the author's name. I would have to get off of my, actually, give me a second. I think I have it in my backpack.
Well, Alana, somebody asked, how do you go about finding a reliable and trusting hypnosis therapist?
To be honest, word of mouth, I can refer you to. So just send me a DM and I'll share your contact. But yeah, definitely word of mouth is the best for me.
Yeah, somebody who's had like personal experience. I've worked with one as well. She's amazing. She also does shadow work too, but there's good. You just have to ask people that have done work with somebody. Somebody says, I'm in the process of self-growth within myself, but financially, we always have that trigger reminder where it reminds us and makes us step back a little. How do you manage that? I'm not sure I understand that question. Maybe you can elaborate a little bit on it. I'm in the process of self-growth within myself, or maybe like not being able to like financially.
Yeah, or like scared maybe to like keep growing or investing, maybe.
Yeah. I know. Yeah, I think that's what they're asking. Like maybe you're limited.
So that all goes back to like your childhood. Like be aware of like what you grew up hearing. Like I know like my mom and dad were like you have to save money, like you have to, hoard money, save it, save. And that's what society teaches you to do, right? It's like they want you to go to school, take out a bunch of loans, have to pay them back, but then it's like, okay, well then you have to like open like a bunch of retirement funds and all of that. So that's just society and the way that I feel like made us grow up. But don't be so attached to money. Like I was very attached to it, and then something that my husband told me is like use money as a tool. Don't be afraid to like invest it back, because if you invest it back into yourself and your business, it's gonna grow. And if you lose some, that's part of the journey too. You live and you learn. So definitely like be aware of that.
You are your own biggest investment. Honestly, I feel like it's really big, Alana, how you're saying in the Hispanic community that we're just taught to like save, and you don't talk about money. You know, money is like a taboo to speak about. And unfortunately, that's not what it is. As a business owner, that's one thing that I struggled with as well, was when it got to the point that we needed to start investing within our business to get that return. You know, you got to spend money to make money. So you have to just take that leap. And we're not saying go spend hundreds and thousands of dollars on self-growth. You know, you take little steps. Eventually, yes, you can do that. But first start off with getting a book. You know, start off with doing 1 or 2 therapy calls, or get a life coach calls a month. You know, start little, and then once you start to work on yourself, that you're going to attract that money, and then you'll be able to reinvest it back into yourself.
Yes, you can never know.
Mm-hmm. So the book's called Focus Forward, and it's by Justin Byers.
Awesome. Yeah. And another thing too is like, I know each time like I've invested in myself, and you have this fear part of you, like, oh, what if I'm wasting my money? One thing I do is I make a list of all my fears. What if I'm wasting my money? What if I waste my time? What if this doesn't work for me? And then I go out and then I say, like, what's the worst case scenario when I'm getting ready to make a big financial investment in myself and in my growth or in my business? And I know that I need support, and I want to be fast tracked, and I want somebody to fast track me, support me, and hold me accountable, and hold my hand, and give me all the tools that I need. All right, what's the worst case scenario? You know, acknowledge your fears, like Alana's talking about. And then, all right, but what's the best case scenario? What's the best case scenario? I don't think enough of us ask that question, and we don't allow ourselves with a space of acceptance and non-judgment to go through our fears and just like look at them and then think about, well, what's on the other side actually? And knowing if you don't trust yourself to get yourself somewhere, and I learned this in my yoga practice, if you don't yet trust yourself to get yourself to that level of success, at least trust that you've chosen the right coach to get you there. So at least trust that you had brought on that right person to help you grow in the way that you want to grow. And then somebody had asked in here, Alana, if your group was just for lashes or if it was open to everybody.
No, it's open to everybody. And it's crazy how, like, for example, my business is, I started off just doing the service, then training girls how to do the service itself. And then I'm like, oh my God, but the reason why my business has grown is because I've worked on my mental and spiritual self. And then it all clicked. So I truly became passionate about like uncovering and healing and all that stuff, so that way I can inspire people to become their best selves and creating those daily habits, because you can't create a successful business and your health is not there. Like, you're not going to have the mental energy or physical energy, and everything just coincides together. And that's why I was so passionate about it. So no, it's not only for lashes.
That's amazing. So you've heard it. Thank you all so much for your questions. And Alana, thank you so much for sharing your time and your energy with us and for this group and for saying yes. You are just such a treat today. And thank you so much for all that you're doing and for all that you are. And, you know, we're just cheering you on, and we look forward to building more solid relationships with you.
I definitely want to go back. Thank you girls so much for creating like this community, because even creating something like this is a commitment. You know, it's like, okay, we're gonna make a commitment, we're putting it out there, we have to show up every Tuesday at 2 p.m. So if you guys like, go follow her, put this on your schedule, because you girls will be live interviewing amazing women, and they're doing it for free. Okay, so like, come on, there's resources. Okay, but yeah, thank you girls so much for committing, and I hope to be back soon.
Yes, thank you so much. Thank you so much for our viewers on Minding My Business, where we're here every Tuesday to provide you with the tools, amazing guests like Alana on how to elevate your mind, your life, and your business, your bank account, the whole extension of you.
Thank you so much.
And if you are wanting to speak, send a DM with any questions about what you want us to speak about on the next Minding Your Business talk. Don't be shy, send it our way. And if you are interested in being a guest speaker on Minding Your Business, feel free to reach out. We're always looking for amazing individuals to hop on and serve our community.
Thank you.
Thank you, ladies. Have an amazing day. Thank you, everybody, so much. Bye.